Hey friends, welcome back to Beer and Beauty. It's Kasha. Today we're going to be doing another declutter. This time it's going to be my bronzer declutter. But before we get into it, we have to discuss today's libation of the day, which is, again, it's going to be Apothic Red Winemaker's Blend from California. So let's pour her out and give her a taste. Cheers. Yes, I think I mentioned in another video where I was having more of this wine. I, for the longest time, avoided trying this wine because I remember my ex-boyfriend, while we were shopping, was making fun of it quite a bit. He's just like, oh yeah, so many like lamos out there that don't know anything about wine will just pick this wine because it looks sick, right? But the truth is, it's good. It's tasty. I mean, it doesn't have any particular like grapes in it. It's just a winemaker's blend. It's got a masterful blend of rich Zinfandel, colorful Shiraz, bold Cabernet Sauvignon, and smooth Merlot. And actually, now that I think about it, it's kind of like it is all those things in one. All the best qualities of those in one. It's dry, but it's got a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of like pep in its stuff. I don't know. I think it's good. Nothing to blow you out of the water, but I enjoy it. And, you know, it will go with many things because it is many wines, of course. So I hope it will go with all the many bronzers I plan to declutter today. So let's get into it. But before we get too far into it, everybody check out my merch down below and check out some of I am doing Vlogmas right now. So if you're you enjoy watching declutters, go ahead and watch the declutters I've already made, and also subscribe and hit the bell to see some of the other declutter videos I'm about to post, including an updated eyeshadow palette declutter. That is the most viewed video on my channel to date, so I'm going to do an updated version of that. So if you look forward to that, go ahead and hit the bell, and I hope to see you in the next one. Hey friends, so here are all the bronzer products that I have in my collection, except for one. Let me go get it. Okay, so here are officially all of my products in my collection that have a bronzer somewhere in them. A lot of these are face palettes, a lot of these are single bronzers. I just decided, just as I set this up, I realized that I'm not going to be decluttering too many products here because I really enjoy so many of the products. Like, I feel like my bronzer collection is actually somewhat reasonable considering that I'm a makeup artist and I don't want to declutter too much. So I thought that this will be a declutter video, but it's also going to be a ranking my bronzers video. Ooh! Let's go ahead and get into that. I think the number one bronzer that I don't think I could possibly declutter, this is my favorite one, and it's inside this Chrissy Teigen Becca palette. And it's my Malibu Soleil bronzer from Becca, obviously. This is my favorite bronzer, and I cannot declutter it, and it's inside this palette. The rest of this palette gets used quite a bit, but obviously you can probably tell that the bronzer gets the most love out of this palette. So that's my favorite. That's going to be my number one spot. Ooh, this is already hard. I think my second favorite bronzer is probably my Hoola bronzer. It's inside this palette. I have a single, and then I also have this palette, this Cheek Parade palette. So here's what the palette looks like, and I actually use this palette freelancing. This is my freelance palette, and this is my like personal use bronzer. I do believe that once I do go ahead and move, I will declutter this bronzer, but right now it's in my project pan, so I'm going to hold on to it until the end of the year, when it's time for me to move. But that's my second favorite bronzer, and I will be keeping those, well, for now. Yep, this is already getting hard. I think my third favorite bronzer is probably my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I love the way it smells. And I reach for it all the time because not only do I love the way it smells, but I believe it's one of my more cool-toned bronzers in my collection. So I'm going to keep it around. For sure, because that's one of my favorites. Lately, one of my most reach for bronzers, it has been this Beauty Crop bronzer. This is a tiny little mini that I got inside of an Ipsy bag. I think it was in actually my very last Ipsy bag, and it made getting this bronzer inside my Ipsy bag kind of made it hard for me to part with it, Ipsy bag, because it was time for me to decide whether or not I was going to continue having Ipsy bag, and I decided not to just because I was, anticipating moving and I didn't want to build up my collection too much. But even though this bronzer has like a weird texture in it, it's like apparently made out of all natural ingredients. I just love the look of this bronzer. If you look in my intro, I am wearing this bronzer in the intro. It's so easy to not overdo it with this. It looks super natural, and I feel like I could actually hit pan on this before the end of the year because I've been just generously using it and loving it so much. So that's currently my fourth favorite. Probably my Too Faced bronzers. I have two of them because these are two bronzers that I keep inside my kit, and this is one like a deeper toned one. This is the Dark Chocolate Soleil bronzer, and they smell like chocolate. It's absolutely amazing. There's a part of me that might declutter this bronzer because it doesn't get used very often. And I'm looking to deepen up a bronzer color. I will use a contour color to deepen it up with. I don't usually need to use a dark, but as you can see, this one's pretty well loved. I got some pan on this one, and this one's also my project pan. This one I'll probably put on my Poshmark because it's so not really even that used. It's very gently used, and this one I will hold on to the rest of the year, but then I think before I move I might declutter it. But this is the first bronzer I ever really loved. This is the bronzer that kind of turned me on to bronzers, so I do love that one. I think my next favorite bronzer is the one that is inside this Hourglass palette. It's this one right here, and it's the only luminous bronzer that I've felt like I've actually liked. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Much like any Hourglass product, face product, powder product that I've ever tried, it's been absolutely gorgeous. This is called Luminous Bronze Light, and yeah, it's just a beautiful, effortless, glowy bronzer. And yeah, that's gonna go into my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, number 6 location in my favorite bronzers. I think my next favorite bronzer that I use the most, I just love to travel with this palette. In the Balm of Your Hands Volume 2 palette from the Balm, I love to travel with this because I love these blushes, I love these minis, and it's got, I love Mary Luminizer. So it's just like a nice little face palette that's pretty durable and pretty compact, really easy to pack when I take it traveling. And as you can see, the bronzer gets a lot of love. This is the shade Bahama Mama, and yeah, I feel like I could potentially hit pan on this eventually. So that is my next favorite bronzer, and I am going to put it in the number 7 spot. Then my next favorite bronzer after that is very likely my MAC Give Me Sun bronzer. Even though I'm sometimes afraid of this bronzer because it's very warm, it does give you like that sun-kissed gleam. Like I said, it's just very, very warm, but it's very beautiful and still pretty new in my collection. So I will be holding on to that one, and I love it. And that is my number 8 favorite bronzer. Well, I have to kind of just go ahead and mention that this is my next favorite bronzer, which is the bronzer that is inside this Ofra palette. This is the Ofra Pro palette, and this is the bronzer I'm talking about. It's pretty red toned and pretty deep on me, so I have to like only use it when I'm absolutely the most tan. As a matter of fact, now that I think about it, it's a little bit deeper than my Too Faced bronzer, so I can totally declutter the Too Faced bronzer and just keep this one for when I need to use a deeper shade on a medium skin toned client that's on the deeper side, and that is the bronzer called Versatile Matte Bronzer. Of course, the few times I've used it on myself, I found that you have to really go in with a light hand on more fair skin tones like myself, but I do love this palette overall because I love the highlighters in here. They're incredible, and I even like this banana powder that's in here too, but that's gonna go into the number 9 spot. So what's tough about these Tarte palettes is that I haven't actually used them for bronzers that much yet, but they're both pretty new in my collection. Even though I'm planning on decluttering this big Smashbox palette, it's some of my only cream bronzers that I have in my collection, and as you can see, the bronzers are the most loved item in this palette. I do use these color correctors quite a bit, but yeah, this is where I learned how to use cream bronzers, was with these cream bronzers right here. They're nice. They absolutely look beautiful and very natural. Do I know if they're like the best cream bronzers in the world? I don't think so, because I haven't tried many of them. I think I will go ahead and put this clay palette next. I haven't tried to use these colors as bronzers yet, but I have used them as eyeshadows, and I've actually used these colors here as like under eye setting powders, and it worked beautifully for that. And something that I love about this palette is that it's beautiful for one, and very versatile, and smells incredible. It just, right now, this like incredible chocolatey smell is radiating throughout it. So that is my next favorite palette, and I will be holding on to that one. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and list my next favorite palette bronzer as this one, even though I just love this palette. I've used the blushes and the highlighters in this palette, but I haven't really used the bronzers, so I have to really mess around with the bronzers, especially because this bronzer right here appears to be luminous, so who knows if I will love that. Maybe my opinions about luminous bronzers will be enhanced, so I will be holding on to this palette. This is still pretty new in my collection. I got it earlier this year. So we got a few bronzers down left in here, and I think I will have to say that this Morphe palette is going to be next for me, just because I've used it on set many times. It has come in handy on set, even though I do believe before I move I will be decluttering this. And actually I'm going to go ahead and list it on my Poshmark because it's so gently used. So that will be listed on my Poshmark. Next up, I guess I've never used this. That's why, you know, I had to at the beginning of the video go find this, because I've actually used this. I got this in my Sephora gratis back when I used to work there, and I still haven't opened it. But it's the Chubby Stick Sculpting Contour Stick, and it looks like this, and it's like a cream contour. Like, actually, the shape of this chubby stick shape would be really easy to use, so I should really play around with this, and I will hold on to it because it is brand new. I haven't used it yet. Alright, last 3 items. Next up, I guess I'll list this cult classic bronzer from Tarte. This is Park Avenue Princess. It's a nice luminous bronzer, but I just, you know, I have so many bronzers in my collections that I love before this one that I just never reached for this one. So this one will be getting decluttered, and it's pretty low down on my list. This Cocoa Contour palette was a classic for the longest time, and this is well used. This actually was decluttered to me, and I have already found a new home for it too. This is also going to be getting decluttered, so that's down low too. I don't want to say that this is my least favorite, but this is the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil bronzer. It's just like a Sephora 100 Point Perk. It's like a mini, and it's just low down because it's light. It's made for very fair skin tones, and I plan on decluttering this because it's still, I don't think it's ever been touched. If anything, it's been touched maybe one time. And if I were to use a very pale bronzer, then I would just use this palette from Benefit, and I'd use the Hula Light. That is my go-to for very fair people to use as a bronzer. I just want to show you the things that I'm planning on decluttering, which are just these items right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the 6 items I plan on decluttering before the end of the year. Oh, actually, no. I'm planning decluttering the Too Faced bronzers. Wow. It's been a fun ride, Too Faced bronzers, but yeah, it's time to pass you on to a new home. Some of these will be on my Poshmark, including this guy, and probably this guy, actually. So if you're interested in picking those up there, the rest will be shared with friends. And let me show you the rest of the palettes that I think I'm going to hold on to. which are these bronzers here. Things in frame, but basically, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 items. That's actually really good. I'm really surprised with myself. I love the bronzers that I have in my collection, and even though these, you know, some of these are really well loved, like these two, I do want to show more love to some of my other bronzers. So this is going to be an excellent opportunity for that. And I think I'm going to hit pan on this little guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So out of 18 items that contain a bronzer, I'm keeping 10 and decluttering 8. This actually went way better than I thought it was going to. I actually thought that I was going to be having a hard time decluttering a lot. Of course, I'm planning on decluttering many things later on before I move, but now, for the time being, I surprised myself. I did a cutthroat thing here, so that's awesome. For the last thing, I do want to just show you guys how I ranked things. Okay guys, so this is more or less the order in which I ranked the palettes, or the bronzers, my Becca's Malibu Soleil, my Benefit Hoola, my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, the Beauty Crop Bronzer in Sardinia Sand, my Too Faced Chocolate Soleil, my Hourglass Luminous Bronze Light, my The Balm Bahama Mama, my MAC Give Me Sun, my Ofra Versatile Matte Bronzer, then this palette from Tarte, this palette from Smashbox, this palette from Tarte again, this Morphe palette, this Clinique Cream Stick, Tarte Paracan Avenue Princess, Too Faced Cocoa Contour, followed by this light shade from Too Faced, Milk Chocolate Soleil. So that is it, guys. Those are my bronzers decluttered and ranked and decluttered. So that is it, guys. This was my bronzer declutter. I don't know how well I did. I'm actually shooting the outro before I even do the declutter, but I'm just looking at my products that I plan to declutter. I like almost everything that's over there on that table, so we'll see how that goes. But I hope you enjoyed it, and like I said at the beginning of the video, if you enjoy declutter videos, stay tuned. I think my next one's going to be a highlighter declutter, and I'm probably going to do the eyeshadow palette declutter pretty soon because I want to give some palettes to my friends. Check out my merch if you're interested. I plan on releasing some holiday merch coming out soon. If you'd like me to custom make an airbrush t-shirt for you, I can do that too. My email's down below, and you can put in an order of airbrush t-shirts painted by me, saying anything you want with any motifs you'd like. So if that's something that interests you for the holidays, let me know. Get at me, and that's it. All right. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me. I really enjoyed hanging out with you. And until next time, cheers. Bye.